what's happened today, we've just seen crude prices getting swept up in broader market sentiment. So, yeah, I think as we get pieces of information here that is perhaps not as severe as previous variants, then that's obviously providing a bit of boost to crude here. We are coming from a very oversold situation as well, Sri. So we were getting close to testing the August lows recently. We come off so much. And you'd seen a lot of speculative positioning prior to this sell-off where everyone was leaning bullish. So we've just let some air out of the tires now. And now, we're just looking ahead to moving into 2022. Demand side of the picture, yes, is a little bit mottled by this new variant, but we are seeing, this recovery still in place. And so that's why we're seeing crude on the rise again once more.
Right, a lot of speculative noise, so it's hard to see the wood from the trees here. So what then are the fundamental supply balances telling us about how tight or otherwise global oil markets are, Matt, heading into 2022? Is that going to be consistent with where we are now, oil in the mid-70s?
Well, that's the thing, Sri. I think we have to look at what OPEC was doing, because prior to these kind of like plethora of bearish influences that we had, the news of the SPR release, this new variant coming through, the unleashing of this, the unwinding of this speculative position, markets were really very tight. But you've had OPEC trying to manage this situation. And so between sort of September and November, we saw them putting 1 million barrels a day more in terms of exports onto the market. And so they could see how tight things were. And when we had that meeting last week, people could look at that at first blush and say, well, it's bearish. They're looking to continue to increase production. But really what the case is that they're looking at the supply-demand balance is still looking pretty tight to them. There's demand for their crude in January. And so that's why we've seen them continuing to put more oil onto the market here. That may change as we go into next year, but for now, it's looking pretty tight.
Can we stand down on $100 barrel oil this winter?
I think we can, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know last time I was on, you asked me that question. I said, never say never, but really it seems that is not very likely to happen at all here. And so, you do have bullish influences coming through. Obviously, still the real bearish thing in the market here is coming through from Omicron and the uncertainty surrounding that. But you do have, the potential of a real cold winter in Europe, in Asia there. We could see, widespread fuel switching into oil, away from natural gas, away from coal, which will drive on demand that otherwise wouldn't have been there. And so there is the backdrop still for that to be bullish going forward here. We are seeing things looking pretty good on the demand side, but really we're going to just have to wait and see in terms of the weather side too.